lot, and Rebecca, you might know as well, but we're gonna be renting 5 extra spots now to Ascension all year.
Light Horse, well, Mandel will be.
Well, no, we're splitting the revenue with them, according to Bart. There are, yeah,
One,
we get half. But anyways, can you just check into that, cause I remember that's the last phone call I had with them.
What level of the parking structures are there?
So we have like 26 spots, they needed 5 extra, and it went back and forth, and anyways, we did take them from the private property owners, he gave it to them, but because we're permitting them, we're supposed to get half the revenue, so I just wanted to add that in if it is true.
Okay, I have some comments, but, are there any other questions?
And I thought we eliminated the waiting list last year, or sometime, we were like, why do we have a fee for a waiting list? We had that discussion, I don't remember how it ended up, but everyone was like, we have a waiting list fee?
I remember vaguely the discussion.
Yes, I do too. Me too, so I just,
and again, the idea is to have at least some fee so that people don't put their name on waiting lists and just walk away and.
I think we left it.
yeah.
That's,
until
that's.
that-
I think
We
I
talked
think we
about
left it,
terminating
yeah.
it.
And then I had one more, for Metro Market Lot, Cafe Corzone, cause that plan commission, they promised to rent, you were on it at that time, but spaces from the Metro Market for their employees.
I thought they were gonna bus their.
Or bus them, but what was the, can you check with Bart, because if they are indeed renting, which I'm gonna guess they probably are, our revenue should go up.
So if they were to be doing it, they were in direct connection with Metro Market. At the time we did our annual review of the structure, they had not finalized any type of an agreement with them.
Right.
So they were gonna follow up with them, so I don't know
Either way,
where.
we permit for them during daytime, remember we changed the sign?
Only for the top level, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying so if Metro Market wanted to give them their own grocery spaces
Yes.
and permit them, or
Mhm.
just,
Yeah, we've got,
okay,
and I apologize, but I'm thinking we have 20 available municipal spots on the top level, and obviously the top level holds 50 cars or whatever. So we only permit the municipal
Right.
spots.
I understand, I know the whole setup, but I'm just saying, we permit for daytime and nighttime, correct?
Correct.
So, I just wanted to make sure that Cafe Corzone wasn't, when I was on planning commission, I had heard that they were either going to bus, or they were gonna try to rent
Cost of the
for their
Corzone.
employees, so, yeah.
Cafe Corzone.
Yes.
I know, that I was thinking the same thing too.
I couldn't speak a word, everybody would always get on me like, that's not the right dialect, I'm like, you get it straight A. Who cares?
Casa Cafe.
So, anyways, I haven't heard anything about the shuttling of the employees, and I know that we have an open house coming up in like 2 weeks.
This week.
This week, whenever, and so
Yep.
where are the employees parking? If not
We will
there.
look into that.
Thank you.
There should be a shuttle. I've been curious about, our whole parking structure. And adding up these numbers, it looks like we get about 105,000 in revenue from our lots. For the lots that we manage, we take in 70,000 from parkers, and we pay the owners of those lots $21,000. I had 2 questions. One is, looking at the winter maintenance and comparing it, the winter maintenance is budgeted at, plowing and salting, $7,625, which is revenue to winter maintenance and DPW, and that's about 5%.
It's exactly 5%.
Is that, I know there's a lot of roads, but when you think about this parking lot, are we plowing and salting the school's lots, for example?
No, just in municipal facilities.
And
And the
private
private
lots?
ones? The pri-
Not all
I
of them.
don't.
Because odd,
We
we
haven't
don't,
figured it out.
we don't.
I would check with DPW.
Right.
and
Last
be
year I
wrong
asked
on
a question,
that.
the DPW told me that we do not.
We do not do the private lots.
Well, cause
We
there
just
was,
take
there was a
permit.
resident complaining about
Right.
art and all
Yes,
that.
and that was not us.
Okay, so we're
But we
not,
manage it, so
But
we
we're not-
helped get them in contact and,
but we're not plowing it, they
We
still.
My understanding is we're only plowing the municipal lots.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that makes sense at 5%, yeah. Okay.
what about the parking structures? we're not doing anything for those, right?
That's correct.
Okay, cause those are just new in there.
Do we deal with snow on the top of the Metro Market structure?
No,
It's
no,
built into the building.
they have their own equipment that they
Okay,
deal with that.
Like yours too, right?
It's the best, I don't have any first-hand knowledge, but that's my understanding.
Okay.
And we don't take our, I mean, we wouldn't be able to get our trucks through those parking
No,
structures.
they do, I remember there was a complaint at the same time, and Bob took care of it, but.
okay. Did you have something else?
No.
Okay.
And the Duncan's, I did have one more, Duncan contract fees from 18 to 19 went significantly down, is that because you moved off-street parking and all of the associated, electronic, whatever software stuff to the tax rolls, right, to the lease?
Right, to the clerk's office, the fees related to the on-street parking
And the
went
revenue.
with the revenue.
So that you would have-
So that's exactly the right reason.
So right now, we're only projected for those fees, so what are they getting, what is the $3,000 in Duncan? They don't, do they buy their permits online? No,
The
for lots.
fees is the online service charge for parking. So if you use the online, there's a $3
But for what?
charge
To get a permit?
To park for
for
overnight.
online.
If
The
you,
village gets charged $3 for every online permit
I understand,
sold.
but I thought we did permits for our lots by hand, that's all I was asking.
No, it's all,
It's all, you purchase
it's
them
all in
online.
the, by license plate into the Duncan system.
But doesn't our staff do that? Does our staff do it, or do the people?
Not when people use the online facilities, they make their own purchase.
I thought everything was manual, okay.
We have to do it, for the first time you buy a permit, we have to authorize you to spot, but to renew, a monthly renewal, you can do that online, and that's where the fees come in. If you choose to renew online instead of coming to Village Hall. And that was just Duncan's metric for kind of covering that aspect of the system.
But they're hardships, so wouldn't, is there like every year you have to come back into the village to make sure you have hardship?
No, once
Okay.
you're in the system for a spot, you can renew. It's just a person can't add themselves as a new user online, that has to be done.
Interesting, we should remember that.
And there were no changes in allocation either of the police or allocation of village clerk? The allocations all stayed the same?
Not for the parking utility, it's all the same.
Okay. All right, do we have any other question on parking? Okay. Marty?
Why is it the same? If before we had, it changed from 2018, I assume?
Right,
yeah,
and
Not a
now
lot.
18 to 19 is,
At least it's the same. So.
Well, the wages in 18 were 45,000, and 2 years later, they're at 37,000.
last year they were 36.
But there's like $30,000 less Duncan fees, which means a ton of most of the things they do is on-street parking. I just think it's off a little bit, meaning, do they really spend that much time and salary in the parking lots?
The majority of the time is spent on
On-street.
lot permits, yes.
For
The
the-
vast majority of
But
time
for-
is spent on lot permits, not on street parking.
For the police?
For, the police charges are, second from the bottom on page 161.
Yeah, so
The staff charges for customer service are the first line item on salary and wages.
okay, so even police, it didn't go, it went down between 17 and 18 by half.
was the 18
Isn't it-
budget when we separated? I thought we separated
I thought we
it in the
separated last
19
year.
budget, yeah.
Well, we did, but what also came to light in that discussion is that police officers are not actually
Yeah.
patrolling the lots,
Right,
which
or the structures, they don't.
Which
own them.
was a premise that the 2017 budget was based on.
Okay,
So we updated that information at the same time that moved around, but they're two different. One was the fact that we were budgeting for something that wasn't happening, so we corrected that.
For next year, we have a lot on our plate, but it would be very interesting for us to know if this is correct. I mean, how many tickets are issued in the lots versus, this is for parking checkers, right? Because police administration, so versus, so what's the?
Yeah, there was a table provided with the last packet that had the distribution between lot citations and on-street parking citations.
Oh, I didn't see that, I saw
Yeah.
night. Oh, okay. Well,
Um,
I read it very carefully today, it was separated by night permits. What are you talking
The
about?
nighttime permits are,
I'm just saying what you just provided, I looked at
Yeah.
it today,
Is there
I think
any-
it's implicitly that those are the on-street ones, but I'll check with the chief.
because it could also be lot ones.
It could be.
So if anyways, that data, just like you did for night versus.
Sure.
Would be excellent, because then you could really nail down whether, how much time they're spending in those lots.
Well, the time they're spending is not necessarily anything to do with the citations they write, because they still have to patrol. But even if they don't write any citations. Let's see, it's been very-
Okay, water utility. The only question I had was on, why did our meter fees go up under revenues? Last year, our meter fees,
Which page, 163?
it's the detail on page 168 under revenues. The first one, utility charges, cause last year meter fees were 270. Is that because of AMI? That, I don't remember, that I couldn't remember when we approved
So are we talking
AMI.
about the $25,000 line item for joint charges to sewer?
No, I'm talking about the detail on utility charges residential. So that's $1,025,000. And on page 168, there's the detail for it at the very top on the left.
It's the same.
And
The way
it's,
it rolls up.
but my question is, last year, I was curious if our usage was going up or down from last year. Our usage last year was 250,000, so we're projecting a decline in usage, which is a good thing. But then I noticed that our meter fees were 270,000, but are 305,000. So did we, I just was curious about that.
Oh, okay. Well, I can tell you that when we prepare the budget, we take a look back at our volume consumption, and then we also take a report of the various meter types. We've been doing a little system maintenance, and some of those get a little reclassified. I don't recall anything drastic in the water utility. There's a couple adjustments to volume, expected volume. So I would, and please keep in mind too, is that when I'm doing the budget, I don't have 2019 data, I'm working off of 17 and 18 data. Especially when we get into, when we do an estimated billing in February because of the heavy snow.
But we haven't changed our meter fees.
We have not.
Okay, so it was a reclassification of meter.
That would be the only accounting for that.
Okay,
So
Yes.
can you explain two things? So on page 164, right? Well, I have questions on, but just while we're on charges. Utility fee multifamily is projected at 385, and we're raising it by about 20 grand to 407, which is that because fees are staying the same, right? So is it more usage?
It's, again, it's review the usage trends, and that's just a slight modification between the various classifications.
Okay, and so then joint meter charges to sewer, if you were just using trends, as you say, you wouldn't have 25,000.
Well, the joint meter charges is partially reflected as the depreciation cost of the water meters, of which we'll be replacing in 2020. So that's gonna be some new depreciation values for those meters, which will then affect the charge that we have to, the PSC requires we charge the sewer utility for a portion of those costs.
So the multifamily, it's interesting, because none of the, everybody's water usage is going down, residential by 0.5, but except multifamily, so I'm just wondering why, I mean, what's going on? Like, has the water utility looked at that?
Well, I
Is
mean,
it
we've had some new
leakage? Is it-
multifamily structures going into the community as well. Mosaic, for example.
Oh, I see, okay.
But in general, again, I try to stay on top of the trends and try to fine tune this as best I can. I mean, water usage is also a little seasonal, not a lot in Shorewood compared to what it was in Mequon. I mean, they irrigate the heck out of everything in their estates out there in Mequon. We prayed for a dry summer. It was very lucrative for the utility. Not so much in Shorewood, but it is a little seasonal.
Right, got it.
There was, I didn't water at all this summer, trustee Warren.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I missed this during my coughing, but I swallowed a whole bunch of statement which was not.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
you didn't tell us I could've done the Heimlich
At least
for
you
us.
swallowed through the inhale and hopefully.
So, interest income seems to be kind of all over the place, and we're going with 2019 projected is going to 2020 proposed. So why is it's gone from 3 to 9? I mean, some of that is inherently fluctuates, but is there any kind of, we think it's going to stay the same between 19 and 20?
Well, some of that depends on how much money we borrow for water projects and the timing of when those are executed. So sometimes, historically, the water utilities barely had any cash reserves. So when we end up with some significant cash reserves because we borrow money, that generates some interest.
Yeah, that'll-
And then now we're starting to get a little bit of cash reserves as a baseline. So that's kind of pushing that needle up to that 15,000 this year.
It's huge.
I have a question on ending net assets. Do you know how much of that is cash?
Yeah, same thing for the public utility, I'm sorry that I skipped right over that, but we asked that last year too.
I can give you cash projections for the utilities as an update.
Thank you. Programming. It's doubling from projected of 2019. Is that for the AMI? Programming meaning,
I'm not sure where you're at.
what was
Did
it?
you,
163. So professionals' fees are going down by 3,000 from projected this year, or actuals, but the programming is going up, doubling.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I